Black Eyes Matter. I'm sure you're all familiar with the topic, which is recently came into limelight because of George Floyd's death on May 25th of this year. What was surprising was US got its independence way back about 240 years ago, and still the challenge of racial inequality exists. And that inequality exists in healthcare dramatically. Within India, you will find southern states getting better health than the northern states. If you go within the states, they say Bimari states, right? Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan. So there are certain states which seems to have had a lower share of their healthcare taken care of. And when it comes to eyes, color doesn't matter. You know, that's the beauty of the vision that our founder had thought through. He said, eliminate needless blindness. He didn't say whether it was a black eye or a brown eye or a green eye or a gray eye or a blue eye. So for Arvind, it doesn't matter. And this presentation is in continuation of what Mr. Tulsiraj shared. The journey started with Nepal, Maldives, and not only within the continent, also moving beyond the continent. So all these three patients are beneficiaries of this story. So let me elaborate about them as we go through the presentation. Let me introduce Olamide. Olamide Kashim is a 10-year-old girl. She came to us last year in our hospital in Nigeria. She has been blind for a while. She had partial vision in one eye. As you can see, the surgery has been done in our hospital in Nigeria. Let's now listen to her. Let's listen to her perspective on how she sees what transformation that she has gone through. Let's have Olamide share her story now.
My name is Olamide Kazim. I'm from Oyo State. I have an issue of cataracts, eye problem. We went to different hospitals in Lori, Kaduna State. They listed huge amounts of money. But when we came to TCF, they did everything free of charge. They did the operation free of charge. The glasses they gave me free of charge. Everything, even the feedings, is free of charge. And I want to thank TCF for what they did. And before the operation, I can't see clearly from the far. I can't even see tiny object, but now I'm seeing that I can even read my book, and I'm in school now.
Thank you, Olamide. Thank you for taking time and coming. You know, you have to be. I had an opportunity to operate in Nigeria. The Nigerian kids are very strong. You know, Olamide did not have general anesthesia. She was all but 8 or 9 when we operated upon her. I didn't operate upon her. I think Deepak did the surgery. But I was operating upon a 7-year-old boy. He was better under local anesthesia. He was obviously better than a patient, adult patient, sometimes that we see with ourselves. So thank you, Olamide. Let us now hear from Dr. Deepak, the surgeon and the chief medical officer of the Tulsi Chandrai Eye Hospital.
Good evening, everybody. I am Dr. Deepak Kumar, consultant at Tulsi Chandrai Foundation Eye Hospital, managed by Arvind Eye Care System in Abuja in Nigeria. My journey with Arvind Eye Care System starts in year 2009-11 when I did my IOL fellowship there at Madurai. After fellowship, I joined as a consultant in Arvind Eye Hospital branch Dindigul. Till 2018, I was a consultant there. I came to Abuja in January 2019. Being in Arvind, we not only learned about how to develop ourselves as a good clinician or a surgeon, but we also come across how to provide a quality care to our patient, our people with their dignity, without irrespective of their social status. We come across to our many mentors in the organizations under whose leadership we know how to deal with the situations. We follow them, they guide us, and thus we start owning the responsibility. And thus that seed of the ownership is sown in you. I came to know about this project in 2013-14 by Dr. Arvind sir. It was a way back in 2013-14, he told me that this project is going to be started. But slowly it slowed down over a period of time for any other reasons. I took it as an opportunity to serve as the most needy population on this earth. and thus to serve the mankind. It is going to give me a more satisfaction, and thus by providing the high care, affordable, high quality service to the people where there is no facility or modern health care, or there is poverty, this is still the main reason. So providing them a quality care is going to satisfy me and my family and my organization also. After coming to Abuja, I came across the facility, which is very nice, very world-class facility. The colleagues working with me are already trained in Arvind Eye Hospital, Coimbatore. So there was and I have a few MLOP nurses which have accompanied with me to this place. So the working environment was not new for me. I was familiar as if I am working in the same family I was working in the India. The people of this place have a great regard for the India and the Indian community. They look India as a dream destination for the education and the healthcare. They respect Indians. So we are enjoying this respect because many of the Indians are famous here as the professors, lecturers and teachers in the school. So this gives us an additional advantage. The patients here are suffering a lot, not only in the eye care but other field also. When I go to the camp or when I see in the clinic, I see a lot of avoidable blindness, mainly in the form of cataract, glaucoma, retinal disease, corneal blindness. Cataract, because of lack of affordability, lack of facility, and lack of accessibility, the people are looking for the alternative method. Still, I see a lot of couching, post-couching aphakia, all those things here. Glaucoma is in very bad condition here. We see very early onset, rapidly progressive, high tension glaucoma, and until and unless we intervene very early, they are going to be blind for the rest of their life. The cost of medication for glaucoma is also very high. So the affordability is a big challenge. So I look it this place. I look it as an advantage for these people around this place where this facility has come across. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak. I think Deepak's journey has been very interesting. From Bihar, Patna, Bihar to Madurai to Dindikal, about 4 years in Dindikal, and then to Nigeria, now 2 years in Abuja. Can we hear from the MLOP?
Good evening to all. என் பேர் சோனியா. நான் ஓடி டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் 5th இயர் எம்ப்ளாய். நான் அரவிந்த் ஐ ஹாஸ்பிட்டலில் பாண்டிச்சேரி 2014 ஜாயின் பண்ணேன். ட்ரைனிங் முடிச்சுட்டு கோயம்புத்தூருக்கு வந்தேன். என் ஊர் விழுப்புரம். எங்கள் அப்பா அம்மா கூலி வேலை பார்க்குறாங்க. என் கூட பிறந்தவங்க ஒரு அண்ணன் ஒரு அக்கா. கல்பனா மேடம் என்கிட்ட ஃபஸ்ட் டைம் நைஜீரியா ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் போகிறீங்கன்னு கேட்டப்போ எங்களுக்கு கொஞ்சம் பயமாகவும் இருந்தது, கொஞ்சம் சந்தோஷமாகவும் இருந்தது வெளிநாடு போகிறேன்னு சொல்லி. நாங்கள் எங்கள் அப்பா அம்மா கிட்ட பேசினோம். எங்கள் அப்பா அம்மா கொஞ்சம் ஃபஸ்ட்டு பயந்தாங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் மேடம் எங்கள் அப்பா அம்மா எங்ககிட்ட எல்லாருக்கிட்டையும் மீட்டிங் வச்சு பேசினாங்க. நான் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் போயிட்டு வந்திருக்கேன், எந்த பயமும் இல்லைன்னு எல்லாமே சொன்னாங்க. மேடம் பேசினாலே அரவிந்த் மேலே இருந்த நம்பிக்கைனாலே எங்களை அனுப்பி வச்சாங்க. நாங்கள் ஃப்ளைட்டில் வரப்போ ஃபஸ்ட் டைம்ன்றதுனால கொஞ்சம் பயம் இருந்தது, கொஞ்சம் சந்தோஷமாகவும் இருந்தது. நாங்கள் இங்கே வந்தப்போ ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் பார்க்க பெருசாக இருந்தது, நல்லா இருந்தது. நாங்கள் வந்தப்போ அரவிந்த் சீனியர் சிஸ்டர்ஸ் எங்க கூட இருந்தாங்க. அவங்க வந்து இங்கே இருக்க பேஷண்ட் பற்றி, சிஸ்டர்ஸ் பற்றி எல்லா ப்ரொசீஜர்ஸ் எல்லாமே எங்களுக்கு சொன்னாங்க. நாங்கள் பெட்டராக ஃபீல் பண்ணோம். நாங்கள் தங்கியிருக்க இடம், சாப்பாடு எல்லாமே எங்களுக்கு ஆரோக்கியமாக கிடைக்கிது. நாங்கள் வேலைக்கு போனப்போ நாங்கள் எங்கள் பேஷண்ட்கிட்ட பேசுகிறதுக்கு கொஞ்சம் பயம் இருந்தது, கஷ்டமாகவும் இருந்தது. அதுக்கு எங்களுக்கு லோக்கல் நைஜீரியன் ஸ்டாஃப்ஸ் நல்லா ஹெல்ப் பண்ணாங்க, கொஞ்சம் எங்களுக்கு சொல்லி கொடுத்தாங்க லாங்குவேஜஸ்லாம். அதை நாங்கள் பழகிக்கிட்டோம். இங்கே இருக்க லோக்கல் ஸ்டாஃப்ஸ் எல்லாமே எங்கிட்ட நல்லா பழகினாங்க, அது எங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப பிடிச்சிருந்தது. இங்கே வர பெயின் ஃப்ரீ பேஷண்ட் எல்லாருமே ஒரே மாதிரி தான் ட்ரீட் பண்ணுறாங்க. இங்கே வர பேஷண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாமே சர்ஜரி முடிஞ்சு போகிறப்ப ரொம்ப ஹாப்பியாக ஃபீல் பண்ணுறாங்க. நாங்கள் இங்கே 6 மாதம் தான் வந்தோம், ஆனால் கொரோனானால 1 இயர் இருக்க வேண்டியதாக ஆகிடுச்சு. அதனால் நாங்கள் எந்த ஃபீலும் இல்லை. இங்கே நாங்கள் இன்னும் கொஞ்ச நாள் சேவை செய்ய போகிறோன்னு சொல்லி சந்தோஷம்தான் பட்டோம். ஆனால் கொரோனா இருந்ததுனால எங்கள் பேரண்ட்ஸ்லாம் ரொம்ப ஃபீல் பண்ணாங்க, எப்படி சேஃபாக இருக்கீங்களா இல்லைன்னு ரொம்ப ஃபீல் பண்ணாங்க. ஆனால் நாங்கள் இங்கே எல்லாமே சேஃபாக தான் இருக்கோன்னு சொன்னோம். அதனால் அவங்க பெட்டராக ஃபீல் பண்ணாங்க. இவ்வளோ தூரம் நாங்கள் வந்து வெளிநாட்டில் இப்படி ஒரு ஹாஸ்பிட்டலில் வேலை பார்ப்போம்னு லைஃப்பில் நினச்சி கூட பார்த்ததில்லை. அதுக்கு வாய்ப்பு கொடுத்த அரவிந்த் ஹாஸ்பிட்டலுக்கு மிக்க நன்றி.
Thank you, Sonia. I think very interesting because Sonia is from Viluppuram, recruited at Pondicherry, and then she went to Coimbatore for training, and then from Coimbatore she has gone to Nigeria. Remember, they all went last year in the month of August, and they were supposed to come in April, but COVID has delayed their plans by 6 months. Look at the anxiety that their parents would go through, but the trust that they have on the organization, and they were able to communicate to those their daughters, so that has made them feel more comfortable. So this is our team. Let me go from now on to Nigeria and Africa. Africa is a little, the population is little lesser than India. It's about 121 crores. India is about 130 crores. Population of Nigeria, as Dr. Prajana pointed out, the most populous country, is about 200 million people. So give you an example, Tamil Nadu is about 70 million people. So Nigeria would be a little larger than Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh is about 18 million. Now they've divided it. So that's the size of that country. What's sad is 1.4 million, about 0.7% of the population has visual impairment. And like in every other developing country, 70% of this blindness is either preventable or reversible. Look at the number of surgeries that is being done in Nigeria. 60,000 surgery. Tirunelveli Aravinda Hospital does more than 60,000 surgery. Tamil Nadu state, with a population of 70 million population, we do about 700,000 surgeries. Aravind alone does about 500,000 surgeries a year. So that's the gap. That's the quantum of eye care that is lacking in Nigeria. So sometimes we wonder, what we do. Sometimes we feel inadequate within our own country and our own place of work. But imagine if you are born in Nigeria, and if you are not born in a fortunate family, then look at the situation that they have. Birth is a lottery. We have all had a lottery to be born wherever we are born. So if you're born in Nigeria, the situation is really dire when it comes to eye care. And if this is true for cataract, it's obviously, when it comes to specialty eye care, there is pretty much next to nothing. The quality of eye surgical outcomes are not good. This data is not from 1980 or 1970. This data is 2011. And you could hear Dr. Deepak talk about couching. We don't speak about couching in India. It is something that you would see in a WhatsApp video sent, a rare video. You would see in your book as if it is mentioned, as it was done by archaic people. But that's not true. It is being done today. And can you believe it? Only 40% of operated eyes had IOLs way back in 2011. Maybe it has gone up to 60-70% now. The surgical complication, look at the surgical complication, 18.8% of those surgeries. And imagine, only 46-50% is getting IOLs. Of that, 18.8% of the people have complication. So very little percentage, 29-30% of the people have a better vision than 6-18. So look at the visual acuity that we are able to give to our people, even in the free hospital, even in the outreach, community hospital, etc. And a lot of shortage of ophthalmologists, 2.8 per million. So there are about 500 ophthalmologists in Nigeria. We have a little more than 500 ophthalmologists in Aravind Eye Care System. And serving a population of 70 million, and we provide 500,000 surgeries. Look at how less productive they are for various reasons. Not that the doctors are not good, but they don't have an ecosystem to perform what they are performing. Arvind's journey in Africa started way back in the early 90s, and people like Dr. R.K., Dr. Ramakrishnan from Tirunelveli. He has been in Kenya with the Lions Hospital doing eye surgeries. I was in Kaduna, Nigeria for about 8 weeks in 1997. And I think Dr. Shankar has gone to a country. Many of our doctors have gone. LACO has worked extensively in Nigeria. So as you can see, we have done, there are about 54 countries in Africa. So National Eye Care Planning has been done by LACO for 2 countries, set up instrument training institutes in 2 countries, consultancy with 32 hospitals, worked with about 32 countries, ophthalmic personnel trained were about 645, doctors trained were 292, management trainees 404. So quite a bit of work has been done over the last 2 decades in Nigeria. So this is the doctors training. As you can see, 110 doctors out of 550 ophthalmologists in Nigeria. So at least 20% of all Nigerian ophthalmologists have visited one of the Aravind Eye Hospital. Dr. Prajana had visited Ibadan, Nigeria through the ICO, and then we had Hilton program through LAICO. So within Nigeria, we have worked extensively for the last couple of decades. And these are the ophthalmologists and the other trainees that are trained within Nigeria. So the question that comes is, have all our efforts made a difference? Now, this is something which all of us have been reflecting upon and struggling upon. LAICO does a lot of capacity building process, and LAICO did a very interesting exercise. They said, what makes a hospital work? We give the same inputs to all the hospital. What makes it work? They say one is leadership. The top of the pyramid is leadership. Good leadership makes all the difference. The second is a role model institution. I think that's something which we learned over a period of time, that we saw in Uttar Pradesh, in Amethi, Lucknow, we saw in Bangladesh, we saw in Nepal. So when you have a model institution, then the local people feel, oh, if these people from India can do this, I can do better than them. So it gives them a confidence. And that was a pet subject of Dr. V. He spoke about in Malawi, in different parts of Africa. He said, if we can establish a foothold there and develop a model. And we were all hoping something like that would happen. And interestingly, it did happen. In the year 2013, an organization called Tulsi Chandrai Foundation. Tulsi Chandrai is a family which have been in Nigeria for a little more than 100 years. They are established businessmen in Nigeria and a family which has philanthropy in their DNA. So they wanted to give back to the country that has made them financially do well. And they've already worked in multiple areas. They have worked in areas like drinking water, in eye care, basic primary health care. Even within India, Tulsi Chandrai Foundation has worked with Shankar Nethralaya, Shankara Eye Hospital, L.V. Prasad. Aravind has never worked with them before. So they approached Aravind. They said, we want Aravind to partner with us to be able to establish an eye hospital. We were a little concerned. The concern was, partnerships are not easy. All of you should realize, should understand, working with another partner and delivering eye care has a lot of challenges. So we were concerned, but we said, within Africa, in spite of all the concerns, we had to establish a role model institution. So they approached us in 2013 to establish a hospital in Abuja. So till 3 years, we had a lot of discussions back and forth. You can see Mr. Chandrai, Mrs. Chandrai, Mr. Narayanan, and Ms. Elizabeth, and the other people in the picture. So it took us about 3 years to decide and go ahead. So a lot of meticulous planning, a lot of back and forth discussions to alleviate fears. And we spoke to Shankara, we spoke to other partners of Tulsi Chandrai to understand how they work, what are their ethos. And then finally we said we will go ahead for, the main reason being, we wanted to demonstrate in Africa and Nigeria that this can be done. So these are the timeline of events. The senior leadership team meeting happened. The first meeting happened on June 2013. We signed the MOU in 2016. Mr. Tulsi Raj and I visited in the month of August 2013. Construction started in February 2017. And then Dr. Kalpana and Jnanasekaran went to Nigeria to do the interview in December 2017. Training of Nigerian doctors and hospitals took place from March 2018 to October 2018. And the construction got completed in December 2018. So this was the vision which we all agreed upon. We will keep the same vision of Aravind to eliminate needless blindness. And we said we'll have to provide high quality, high volume, sustainable eye care and become a model in Western Africa. So that was our thought process. Not only establish one hospital. This was not about doing one hospital and doing a few surgeries, but creating a chain reaction so that others will emulate this model. So our objective were very clear from the beginning, to provide quality, affordable and comprehensive eye care. This will look very familiar to all of us. And we said, can we increase the cataract surgical rate by 25%? Can we add additional 12,000 surgeries every year? Now I think we have the capacity to do about 5,000 surgeries a year. with growth, maybe in the next 5 years, this institution should contribute to about 20 to 25,000 surgeries in that country. That's very big. No hospital in Africa does more than 10 to, maybe the largest hospital does only about 10,000 surgeries in the whole of Africa. And we also aspire to be a training institution for Nigerian ophthalmologists, to be a referral institution for specialty services. So this is the institution. So we said we need to reach the people who are not reached. So I'll keep moving on. So this is the soft launch that happened in January 2019. You can see Dr. Kalpana addressing the staff at that point of time. And this is the outpatient department. I can assure you, the hospital looks very modern and very user-friendly and very comfortable. You won't see it as a hospital in Nigeria. When you compare to other Nigerian hospitals, it's far better in its infrastructure. These are the daycare wards that we have here. The OT, any one of you can go to that hospital and start operating. You will not feel any difference from any of the Aurobindo hospitals that you have operated, starting from the microscope to the surgical table, to the instruments, to the assistants, to the autoclave. Everything is exactly the same. Within the hospital, you will have the same feel as Dr. Deepak described. The first camp was conducted at KEFI in the month of January, and the camp ward, the patients here, they have very basic needs. The people are they're gentlemen, the women, and the women are kind of ladies. They all behave, in spite of poverty, their behavior is very gracious. That's something that one can learn from them. They don't complain or crib. This is the first batch of cataract patients that came to us. You can see the Nigerian MLOP, you can see our own MLOP, and also Arun, who is the manager. Arun played a very significant role in this journey. Arun had worked in Nigeria, is from Kerala. Again, he is holding the fort. He is the administrator of the facility. Gnanasekar, who coordinated the project, now works for Shankara. So we got this, so fortunately we had the president of Nigeria. This is a very big event in Nigeria, for a hospital of this caliber to come in the capital. So it was a big event. The president of the country came in. He was very happy to see the progress that has been made. You can see Mr. Chandrai there, and we had a wonderful inaugural session. Dr. Kalpana and I had represented Aurobindo Eye Care System. So the question that now comes, how did we get here? A lot of times when you see an inauguration, when you see something like this, you kind of don't see the struggle and the journey that has gone in to be able to reach here. So this is what we wanted to share with you. So, building an organization requires three distinct paradigms of working. One is the physical infrastructure that one needs to create. Another is the intellectual infrastructure. You talk about eye care, you talk about what happens within the facility and all that, like doctors, machines, and technology and all that. The third is the emotional infrastructure that we keep talking about, values, culture. So in Nigeria, we had to put all these three things together, and all these three things in a very short period of time. So I'm going to request Siddharth. Siddharth is an architect from a very reputed firm in Coimbatore. He is a second-generation architect in his family, and his firm has been in existence from 1965. So it's a very old firm. So these are the four challenges or four areas that we had to address before we established the hospital in Nigeria. One is infrastructure, human resource, and go through the startup phase and system development, like what we did with Tirupati or Chennai, and ongoing support and course correction. So when it comes to infrastructure, let us hear from the architect who designed the building. This is the first time this architect firm is working with the Aurobindo Eye Care System. And let us hear Siddharth and his journey through. The reason why I wanted Siddharth to share is a very interesting journey. And both of us were traveling together. He and I were together in this journey. And a lot of times when we talk about hospital, we only talk from a medical perspective. You should also hear it from an architect's perspective. So here it is, Siddharth. Thanks for joining, Siddharth. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Arvind. Lovely. Good evening to all, and it's lovely to join all of you today. So our tryst with Nigeria began as early as about 2005, 2006, when I think Shankara was asked to partner, to Chan Rai Foundation to building a hospital there. We went for an early reconnaissance trip for about a long period. We went for about 15 days to actually understand the site, to understand, because it's a completely new thing for us, and that this was also our first international project, so we really wanted to get things right. So a team from Shankara and me joined the TCF team in doing a reconnaissance trip of Nigeria, and we were completely flabbergasted because this was a country which literally had all resources but no resources at all. I mean, everything had to be imported. There was tremendous amount of corruption. There was safety issues and all that. But more importantly, to build a structure like this, everything had to come from outside, and costs were quite high. But if you looked at the site was in a very, very important thing. It is right next to the Nigerian national football stadium, and the Nigerian Super Eagles are a very highly regarded team. It was a good 5-acre site, which I think the government gave to Tulsi Chan Rai Foundation to do this hospital. And I remember there used to be the small man-made pool where people used to sit there and fish, and it took Tulsi Chan Rai Foundation almost about 7 months for people to vacate the site. So there were challenges at every step. I think the brief Tulsi Chan Rai called for was pretty much consistent to what most Shankara and Arvind eye care systems want. They wanted for separate facilities for paying and non-paying to be incorporated on one roof. They wanted, because it was a big site, they wanted it to be nice and spread out. And more importantly, they wanted separate, operation theaters and all that for the paying and the non-paying patients. But that was again revised as we went on. Mr. Jagdish Chan Rai, to me, was the inspiration behind the whole thing, because every time he would meet me, he would say the same thing: Siddharth, we have gained everything from Nigeria, and I want to give back. And through this long journey, I think this has been that one voice we've sort of heard throughout, and it sort of guided the entire journey. What he wanted was, he wanted this to be a role model high-tech hospital for the region. He said it wanted to highlight not only TCF's commitment, but it's something that the Nigerians would be proud of. And, we then thought of an interesting form with high-tech aesthetics. And we wanted to maximize light and ventilation, because it's similar sort of climate and topographical features like India. Can you go to the next one? So if you look at the timeline, 2009, we started working with Shankar on this, and there was a long hiatus. 2013, we did another scheme. And then 2016, we started working with Arvind on this project, and that's when it really started speeding up. One of the biggest challenges was, how do you sort of work, work on a remote control from here? And we are used to visiting sites often. We are used to taking complete control, but how do you work on remote control? So we started looking for a project manager there. And Tulsi Chan Rai Foundation appointed a person called Srinivas, who I think proved to be the linchpin, and who sort of, I think, was probably one of the most important factors to have made this whole thing happen. So Srinivas became the point of contact, and with Arvind giving us the technical requirements, we were able to move this. Initially, I don't even know if Dr. Arvind knows this, we had also approached a few Nigerian architects. We needed a local architect who could sort of do all the necessary statutory things, but we also wanted to understand Nigerian architecture, Nigerian customs. So, there were a lot of interesting things, like, for example, bed lengths had to be much longer. We would give 5 feet 9 inch bed lengths here. It had to be almost 6 feet 11 inch there, because the average man is about 6 feet 1 inch, and average lady is about 5 feet 9 inch to 5 feet 11 inch. So all those things were a revelation. Can you go to the next one? These were initial schemes that we did for Shankara, and they're important because they started off with about 50,000 square feet. And when we started estimating it with Nigerian costs, it obviously had to come down. Then we came down to about a 38,000, or we came down to about a 40,000 square foot model. Can you go to the next one, please? This was the Shankara. And then when we came to the Arvind, finally when we worked with Arvind, the building came down to about 38,000, almost about 40,000 square feet, including everything. Next one, please. So this was the plan. Can you go back, please? So this was the plan. What we did was we did a very interesting a plaza, which we wanted to be. It was actually an Oculus, which we wanted to be the face of the hospital. And then we had the OP. We have the administration wing. We have the general wards on one side. So the non-paying patients would enter from one side, and the paying patients would enter from the other side. Next one. So we wanted to create this aesthetic that was both high-tech but was also relatable, because we didn't want it to become so super high-tech that people would be scared to come here. So that's something that we always try to do with most of our projects, especially with community eye care based projects. So that's what we try to embrace here. Next one, please. So it was about a 5.25 acre land, about 36 to 38,000 square feet, 3 operation theaters, a bed capacity of 54 beds, 40 free and about 14 paying. This can almost be doubled. We've left a space for future expansion, and we have all the services that Arvind has to offer there. Next one. So the biggest challenge was to find a contractor. Whenever when you go talk to any Nigerian, they say TIA. They say this is Africa. Nothing works. Everything has to be made to work here. The value of work, we awarded the value to a company called Vita Construction, which was a Greek company under this gentleman with the name of Yannikis. It was a contract value of about 1 billion naira, which is about 20 crores, which is about close to about 5,000 rupees a square foot, which I think is almost double the cost what you would pay for in India. So everything is everything right from cement, steel, everything has to come out from outside. So we had to sort of deal with that, and that's why things were also so expensive. But we found the contractors were just outstanding. Next, this photographs of the Bhumi Puja and everything. And we had some amazing project managers that we worked with. There was this guy called Yemen, who was the head project engineer. Next one, please. It is, it's this guy right here. Yemen, and I forget the other guy's name. There was a Nigerian guy. Yemen was from Aleppo, Syria. And I think we went there, Dr. Arvind, if I remember, we went there during December, just before Christmas or something like that. And Aleppo had literally been wiped off the map by ISIS. This man, probably everybody else left home, but this man was there. And this man was a human computer. He would be able to tell us, grid sizes, column sizes, lintel sizes from the back of his mind, and he gave us so many valuable suggestions, that contributed to the finish of the buildings, right from how to do the spaces between tiles there and everything. In Nigeria, everything. You multiply everything by 5 times. What cost you multiply by 5 times. You will have to put 5 times the effort. You'll have to ask everybody 5 times, and on the 5th time it may get done. So everything is 5 times, and this man literally walked us through the whole thing. So it's truly, truly excellence in adversity as far as somebody like Yemen went. Next one, please. So finally, we come to the building. It turned out to be one of the nicest buildings that we've done. Back here, you can see Aso Rock, which is one of the most important religious places of Nigeria. This is the big, Oculus in the front. Which now I think is sort of symbolic to the whole hospital. Next one. These are shots of the hospital. They've also lit it beautifully in night. Next one. This is inside the Oculus. You can see people walking through it, and I think people are really enjoying it now. That's what I hear from most from Srinivas and other people that are working there. So we were very happy to be a part of create something that's an icon today in Abuja. Yeah, these are again shots, but look at all the detailing and look at the finishes. I don't think we would have been able to achieve finishes like that even in India. And I think Jagdish Chandra's mantra, and I think Arvind's technical excellence, and people like Srinivas and Yannikis, and these people have really helped us. It's truly an exception when you see the other hospital buildings in Nigeria. And the whole TCF team and the Arvind team sort of sustained us in good cheer, and because whenever we at the end of the day you would be confined to the guest house, and the guest house is a sight to see. It's almost like a dilapidated building, and but the sort of the most interesting facets were the Nigerian cooks who would make us dosa sambar in the morning, idli sambar. So they kept us in great spirits throughout. It's truly an experience to remember.
Thank you, Siddharth. Really appreciate your insights. It was when you're in Nigeria, there is nothing much to do. Nothing happens after 6 p.m. So we had a lot of time together and a lot of sharing and good times that we could all remember. But credit goes to Siddharth and team for managing it from distance and also giving us a very fine infrastructure that we are also happy to be part of. I'm going to take a little longer time, so please pardon me for the time. Thank you, Siddharth, for joining. So the other challenge is human resource. I would request Dr. Kalpana to pitch in and share her story. I want you to reflect a little bit. The story starts with Chandra, who went to Africa 100 years ago, comes back, and then a person like Dr. V, who starts from Madurai, and then you have a girl from Viluppuram, somebody from Patna, and then Shankar from Siddharth from Coimbatore, and a engineer from Aleppo, Iraq, and a Greek construction firm. So look at how these forces align themselves to be able to provide eye care. And globally, it is not a small team trying to work. It's a global movement. I'll come back to it when I consolidate my presentation. I request Dr. Kalpana, I should be thankful to the Coimbatore team. Now, one of the big challenges was human resource. Who will go to Nigeria? Who are the nurses from Tamil Nadu who will go to Nigeria? Of all the places, because there is a scare of Nigeria. There is a fear. And then, will the Nigerians come to India and work for a year to learn from our value system? And what kind of problems would come if they come? So, Kalpana and team managed it seamlessly. So, I request her to share her insights.
Thank you, Arvind, and thank you, Prajna, for the kind words. Actually, I came into the picture and into the loop when LICO requested if I could go to Abuja for the interview of selecting the the nursing team for the TCF Eye Hospital. I willingly said yes because just 4 months back I had visited Abuja for a IPOC projects with some American doctors. So I had a good experience, but it was a very short 2-day trip. And so I said yes, and I and Gnanashekar went to Abuja. We flew to Addis Ababa and Addis Ababa to Abuja. And like people are mentioning, it was a little scary because a lot of stories. But then I had some experience with some Nigerian fellows who have been here with us. We had one Dr. Nozi from Kaduna who did 1 year to the Queen Elizabeth Foundation. 1 year pediatric ophthalmology, and Dr. Rilwan from Abuja itself was here with us that time. So that kind of gave me an experience, a little bit of idea about how the Nigerian doctors, a little bit about the ophthalmic care. One nice thing about Nigeria, the common the communicative language is English. Everybody speaks English except a few of the tribes who speak the local language. So communication is not very difficult in Nigeria. So everybody knows English. So with that open mind, we went in for the interview. The first day we had around 18 candidates. And in Nigeria, if you look at the ophthalmic training program, they have two. One is the optometrist, which is about 6 years of training program. The other one is ophthalmic nursing, which is a 6-year program as well. So when I was interviewing this, this group of candidates, and they call you Ma. The way you address, they call you Ma. It felt very nice and homely, and there was a nice bonding when I was interviewing these people, and they're very natural, they're very truthful, and it was quite a very, what to say, it was a very pleasant interview. And I and Gnanashekhar were there, and their knowledge, clinical knowledge was very, very good, very impressive. So I thought that, it was very easy to recruit people, and they had some concerns about coming to India and all that. Then, Mr. Srinivas and the other people and other local Nigerian people who are working with TCF already tried to explain to them, because they had already hospitals in Kabe and Calabar. So the people who are working there were also here to explain to them. So that really helped. So we recruited 18 nurses, and then we brought them to India. And coming to India, I did only the recruitment part. Then I selected, and then I met Uttam and Dora, the two doctors there. It was a pleasure to meet them both, and they are still very close to my heart. Uttam and Dora were here for 8 months along with the nurses training. And Mr. Srinivas was very helpful. He really took good care of us, and Mr. K and Kannan Narayanan really took good care of us. So once the recruitment process came in, then I came back to Coimbatore, and then LICO again requested if we would do the training. I readily accepted, because I thought it was good to, because I had already interviewed them. It will be good for the girls to come here, so that there'll be some kind of familiarity. So I accepted. But then before that, we had some initial challenges. So, how are we going to, manage the accommodation, food, and the security system, and where are we going to, keep them, and all that was there. Can I have the next slide, please? So, when this came internally, we had a meeting with our team. So we had to form a team here internally with our administrator, human resources, our, the tutors and supervisors, and they all readily said yes, because I first wanted to make it clear, and then get approval from the team if we can do it, because it's not a one person's job, it is a teamwork. And we already had experience with the training nurses from Gujarat for the Sudarshan Netralaya. So that gave us little experience, but this was totally different. And then, we also got the help of Mrs. Paul. Mrs. Paul, Dr. Paul has been working in the TCF group. He's a doctor, he's been there for many years with them. So Mrs. Paul incidentally was in Coimbatore. So she came here to help us to, we taught local recipes. I mean, they are Nigerian food, because they like jollof rice and vegetable stew and mutton stew and all that. So Mrs. Paul was here to teach us the recipe. So we had so much of arrangement. Their rooms were done. We had security for them. So they really were taken care of. And I also would like to thank Comfort, who was a maid. She was a nursing superintendent and a matron for them, who came along with them. She was a motherly figure there. And Uma Priya played a major role. And, and every Sunday they used to go to the church. So, we really took care of them in detail, everything, and made them comfortable. And they were, they behaved the best, I would say. And we had such a nice bonding with them. The training process, we did train them in different, aspects. For them, the knowledge was already there. We only had to inculcate the systems of Aravind Eye Hospital to them, so that when they go, they can replicate this model in Abuja. So it was not very difficult to teach the systems. So, and they all cooperated very well with us. Somehow in Nigeria, they don't work on Sundays. So it was a little bit difficult for us to convince them to go for eye camps and all that. But they did, cooperate very well. And I know they're all doing an excellent job, but they still communicate with me. They send me messages, in the group wishing me for New Year and stuff. And I think I've done 4 visits already to Abuja. I'm just waiting to go back again, because the hospitality is very good, and in the hospital ambience is excellent. I think anybody who's been there, that Sangeeta has been there, and Sunita and Gnanashekhar, and Dr. Navneet had replaced Deepak when he was on leave. So it's a very it's a very good environment, and I'm so glad to see that that the hospital is doing well now. Its second year is going to be over. And the team building workshop in LICO, where Mr. Chandra, everybody was there, and all the girls were explained about what is going to happen. And these are all the series of meetings. And one thing is, we engage them every day. Every day somebody would talk to them, we would engage them, and then they went on trips, and they were kept kind of busy for 8 months. So it was not felt like a burden. Can I have the next slide, please? So there was a lot of cross-learning as well. So our girls really enjoyed communicating. They would stay in the second floor. So the girls would always go to their rooms. There was, and one nice thing about the Nigerian nurses were, they always greet you. Wherever they see you, they'll wish you. So that was a very pleasant gesture. And, the girls, really, our girls learned a lot from them, and very outspoken, broad-minded, and authoritative, good financial planner. That's what Sangeeta was saying. They're really a very good financial planners, and they keep up work and with the culture what is being practiced here. And we felt that they kept their place very clean and tidy. And how did we select the team? The ones who went from here to Nigeria, we looked at girls who were very approachable and communicative. And then girls who had very strong belief in our systems and depth. And also girls who were a little authoritative and then, who would not normally deviate from protocols, especially they're away from here and they're going to be the face of Aravind in a different country. So we wanted to choose the girls. Most of us girls are like that, but then, the ones who will be there, we had to select particular girls like that. And then also the girls who had already been very familiar with the Nigerian staff and they were here. And they were accompanied by managers Umapriya and Sangeeta. And like I already mentioned, Navneet was also there. So this is the team behind the success. And I would thank Arun, who's still taking care of them very nicely. Our girls are feeling at home now. And I also have to thank the Jennifer, the cook, who makes awesome food. People who will go to Nigeria will enjoy this. And I wish them all success. And I'm so happy that I'm associated with this team. Thank you all. Thanks, Mr. Srinivas and Arun.
Thank you, Dr. Kalpana. I think, that was you can see the joy and the purpose behind what was being done. Though it was a lot of challenges, but as Siddharth pointed out, as I'm pointing out, as Dr. Kalpana is pointing out, there is also a joy of creating something and enjoying the day-to-day pleasures in a newer culture. So there are other challenges, startup phase and system development. This is part of this. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Equipments, standard equipments that what we have in Aravind were all procured there. Information technology, they use the same EMR that we have. It's cloud-based EMR. We can check what's happening there. Their data gets updated like your CMS. We can see their CMS from here. I'm sure some of you will have access. You can scroll down Abuja and look at it. And also working with Nigerian ophthalmologists. So we were not there to, there was a feel of threat, right? When somebody from outside comes and establishes an eye hospital. So we had to work with the Nigerian ophthalmologists, tell them this is a model, please make use of it and create your own hospitals. And that's the journey that we are on with Nigeria. Ongoing support, a lot of people, our chairman, Mr. Tulsi Raj, our IT team, a lot of people are part of it. Gnanasekar was earlier part of it. Uma, which Kalpana pointed out, Sunita, Sangeeta, Radhakrishnan, Santana Krishnan, all of them have contributed meaningfully into this journey. And Ganesh of IT at that point of time played a very significant role in ensuring EMR there. So the journey has started. I'm kind of coming to the end of my presentation. So we are now have the capacity to do about 500 surgeries a month. The COVID was a very interesting period. I think I should really appreciate the team, both Dr. Deepak and Arun managed the situation very well, rallied around. I should tell you, of all the Aravind Eye Hospital, Abuja is the one hospital in August did more than their surgeries ever. So they are really doing far better than pre-COVID times because of the quality of work and the quantum of work that they are doing. I was mentioning in my talk how all these people who are from different nationalities, different occupations, different way of life come together. This quote from Mahatma Gandhi is true. It is not by violence, Black Lives Matter, in a gentle way, that all that has been done in the last 4 decades within Aravind, all has been in a very gentle way. And in gentle way, you can shake the world, is what Gandhi proved to the world. And that's what comes to my mind when I see what is happening in different parts of the world, what started as a small seed in Madurai. Finally, nothing began with Dr. V, everything began with him, and everything should end with him. And Dr. V's most famous quote, intelligence and capabilities are not enough. Trust me, we didn't use intelligence or capabilities in Nigeria. It was all about the joy of doing something beautiful. Thank you.